This morning, we talked a lot about what are the global trends, what are the possibilities, what can you do when you achieve intelligent manufacturing. And there's a lot of possibilities that you can see, right? Now, my session will talk more about how you can start. Okay, and I think that's the very important thing. How you can start and how can you scale technology implementation, right? And I'll share with you some good case studies, right? Some good case implementations. And most importantly, never forgetting the people part of things. That's why my topic is always developing a sustainable talent ecosystem for intelligent manufacturing. And I will share with you a practical and strategic roadmap for sustainable implementation. Now, the fourth industrial revolution, right? As we hear a lot of IR 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, a lot of companies in Malaysia, whenever we talk to a lot of SMEs, it's always thinking about automation, right? But when we look at Industry 4.0, we look at it from a standpoint of data automation, right? Data is the lifeblood of manufacturing, right? And how data can actually be used, right, to actually explore bigger opportunities in terms of intelligent manufacturing. And that kind of data that you want to see, right, is what you need to start looking at, right? And when you get data, what do you get after that? You get information. With a lot of data, you get information. And why do you want to get so much information for your factory? You want to have knowledge about what's going on, what is actually happening in your manufacturing line, right? Whether is it you are collecting data from a very popular tool now. What is the most popular tool to collect information about your production floor? What's your most popular software that you're using to collect data for your manufacturing floor now? WhatsApp. WhatsApp, am I right? Everybody has that software installed in their mobile phone, on their tablets, on their PC. Everyone gets data from there, right? And it's all in the WhatsApp message, right? But we are talking about data not being collected by your WhatsApp, but by other platforms available to actually create better analytical strategy. And from having the knowledge of your system, from having knowledge about your system, you get wisdom, right? So wisdom is what you want to create for your manufacturing floor eventually, and that's where intelligent manufacturing will come in. Now, why do we need all these data, knowledge of our manufacturing? Why do we need all this intelligence, right? Now, when we look at a normal manufacturing process or a normal day-to-day process, not even manufacturing, right? The only constant in a day that we have is what? It's time, right? Every one of us have 24 hours in a day. When you do production, you have an 8-hour shift, you have a 12-hour shift, and with that amount of time that you have, right, how productive are you in that time? Right, that's actually where the bottleneck is, right? Are you productive in a sense where you know exactly what's happening, right? That's your insight, right? Are you able to analyze and solve the problem, find the root cause in the fastest time possible? Or are you going to take many hours to find the root cause? Making decision, do you need to combine all your departments, your top management all together, then only you make a decision? And by the time you want to take an action, what is the time delay that you face? Right? So on a day-to-day basis, without us realizing, we are indirectly wasting time. Okay? We are indirectly wasting time. So what data is trying to do is to help you to see clearer, is to be able to gather the right information and create value in terms of optimizing your processes, right? Now, one of the very interesting topic just released yesterday, what was it? ChatGPT 4.0, ChatGPT 4, right? And people are saying, okay, what is it going to do now for us? What is it going to how is it going to help us? And that's actually to help you to save time. It's all about how technology helps you to save time. And in fact, in manufacturing processes, with real-time capabilities, with your big data. And when I talk about big data, it's not about storing a lot of data in many, many Excel sheets, okay? There are still many companies still storing data in Excel sheets. It's how fast can you make a decision, and how do you integrate the systems all together, right? And when we look at the manufacturing industries in Malaysia specifically, right, I've talked to many, many SMEs. I've trained over 100 over people from the SME line. We go to factory visits, we go on-site visits. Most of the time, we always ask them, what are your key challenges? Right? We really want to know what are your key challenges. Okay? And aside from the survey that was done from Smart Forward about in 2021, right, where one of the key problems was many industries do not know where to start. Second key problem was many industries know the technology, but they feel that, okay, if I am doing food and beverage, I think that auto parts technology do not fit food and beverage. Therefore, they stop, right? So they don't see the use case. For example, semicon industry, semiconductor, they're using this hardware, this software, but I don't think food and beverage can do it, can use the same platform. So technically speaking, the three challenges are, number one, cost, technology know-how, and technical capabilities, technical manpower and capabilities. Now, why do I highlight technology know-how and technical manpower and capabilities? Why is it bold, highlighted, underlined? Could I put some sprinkles over there? Why? Because if you understand the value of technology, if you understand how it's implemented, if you understand how effective it can bring value to your company, I believe cost should not be a problem, right? Of course, to start off, there's a lot of discussion on the cost, but I think that if the value is explained well, cost should not be a problem. So when we started Industry 4.0 in Malaysia or even many, many places, right, we talk about the pillar-based concept, right, where we talk about, okay, augmented reality, IoT, big data. So during the early days, when I started having conversations with a lot of companies, they told me that, oh, do I need to have 80% all these pillars, then only I'm called Industry 4? Or do I need to have all these technologies in my factory, then only I'm called a Industry 4 factory, right? Now, we don't look at the pillars part, but we look at the combination of how the pillars are now part of an integration of technology framework. Okay, that means now all the pillars that you see over there just now, the enabling technologies, they are part of the integration of technologies. And for Smart Factory, we look at operational technologies, which is your hardware software integration, information system technology, and the digital factory. So three key main pillars over here. Now, when we talk about technology, one thing that we never noticed was that technologies, when we implement, okay, maybe some of you will feel it, some of us may not. Okay, a lot of companies in Malaysia, when they buy machines, okay, they buy machine vendor A, B, C, D, E. Next thing you know, A cannot talk to B, B cannot talk to C, C cannot talk to A, correct? Right? I see some like that, okay? And then you buy ERP software, MES software, right? And you try to integrate both of them together. Also, you face challenge, right? Now, in today's age, technologies must be, I would say must be, modular, scalable, flexible, and compatible, right? Those are the four key importance when you start investing in technology. Why is it important to have modularity, scalability, flexibility, and compatibility? Because in the long run, when you start to implement new technologies in your factory, and I'm saying this because technologies are going to keep on improving day by day, right? If you cannot scale, if you cannot integrate, and if it's not compatible, you actually spend more trying to do so, right? And it becomes more complex as you slowly start to scale up, right? So therefore, we look at a concept where when you start to look at technology implementation, right, you need to look at it from a brand neutral approach, basically no brand dependency, open communication protocols. Basically, every machine should talk to each other in the same language, right? We talk about open collaboration. Basically, you have different vendor platforms, different software able to work together, right? So if I want to link to a platform, I should be able to do it easily, okay? Right? And the fourth part, which is actually one of the key enablers of digital transformation today, is what we call as rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping here doesn't mean 3D printing. It's totally different. What we are talking about here is how fast can you build and deploy platforms, right? For example, when you want to start setting up a website, last time you need to take 3 months to build one website. Today, you have platforms that are available, drag and drop, and you can build a website in 2 days. That's what we call rapid prototyping. And when we talk about reducing the time to deploy, what are we talking about there? Companies, when they want to implement technologies, they can't spend too much time, right? So therefore, when we implement technologies, we talk about, 1 month, and then we talk about trial for the next 2 to 3 months, and then start to scale. So these are the framework that you can look at when you want to start implementing technologies. Now, when we look at the entire integration concept of this automation pyramid, this is a traditional automation pyramid, okay, where you have your sensors, your control systems, your SCADA, your MES, your ERP. Okay, so you talk about horizontal and vertical integration. We're not even talking about digital continuity yet, right? And if we want to achieve manufacturing intelligence, is it just by having beautiful dashboards and ERP systems? Or is there more to what you want to implement? Okay? For example, I met so many companies, they say, okay, I want a nice dashboard. Yeah, dashboard, you can make it as nice as you can. But if your OEE or your production yield is 50%, it's still the same. Right? Technology is only as good as the user. Your production is only as productive as the user, right? Digital transformation, the tools, the software is just tools for you, right? Now, over time, when I start to look at technology implementation for SMEs in Malaysia, because when we started off, we also look at, okay, how do we integrate fast and effective? And when I say effective, it's not just implement fast, but cost effective as well. So we looked at a possible system topology. And I say possible meaning to say that I've already tested and it works. Okay, and some companies actually adopt it as well. Now, if you look at this topology over here, why do we have 2 sections at the bottom? Because some companies, they have access to their controllers, some do not. So those that do not, we call them legacy machines, right? They don't have the right hardware to actually integrate IoT. So when you look at the platforms to integrate, from the system integration side to the data generation side, you have a single platform that connects them together. And as it goes up to your module controller, your MES system, you also have a single platform to link them together, right? And you can visualize your data, right, through platforms like Grafana. You can implement an ERP system like ERP Next. You can do business intelligence through Metabase, Frapple. When you start to look at big data, not using Excel sheets, okay? You need to look at things like NiFi for data integration, Spark, Nime, very, very interesting software, and many, many more as you start to look into the digital factory. So there's a lot of tools and platforms out there that you are able to actually start today. Now, of course, when I show this topology to companies, okay, they understand up to the shop floor level. Okay, now then the next question will be, how do they all link together? Okay, and here I'm sharing with you some, I wouldn't say secret recipe, but I would say that it's a possible method for you to connect them together, right? So when you start to invest in technology, the platforms, the communication protocols, they are very standards, right? You have things like Modbus, MQTT, OPC-UA for the hardware connectivity, very, very standard protocols. If you talk to Omron, if you talk to any other brands, Mitsubishi, they are all able to talk in one language like this, right? Now, as you start to move up the IT side of things, okay, then you need to start thinking about how software to software connect, right? And that's where you start to think about connecting it to databases like MySQL, InfluxDB. Then how do you connect to ERP system? This is very, very interesting. Many companies always ask me this question, how to connect to ERPs. Okay, technically speaking, you can. Whether you're allowed to, that's another question mark altogether. Now, what I hope companies don't do is invest a lot in an ERP system, which a lot of them do. I have one company that I've seen a 2 million ringgit ERP system in a shop floor, but you still have 40 machines with people writing down in pen and paper and then going to the supervisor and say, okay, can you key in these 40 stations data into the ERP? Because they don't have enough capability to scale, right? So then, of course, once you get enough data, then you start to move into using tools like analytics tools, like NIME, right? And these are capable platforms that you can explore. Now, one key component that many industries did not realize or did not consider, okay, when I look at all the readiness assessments, and even I talk to some of the multinational companies, they did not consider the concept of a digital factory, all right, which is that digital continuity and the top right corner over there. And I'm going to show you a little bit about digital factory as a preview of tomorrow's deep dive of digital factory, okay, which probably the speaker will share more. Now, data automation is key to implement intelligent manufacturing, okay? And when we talk about data automation, it's not just about saying that AI can do everything for me, okay? AI is only as good as the data that is provided to you. Basically saying you give it rubbish, it will come out rubbish, right? So your data generation needs to be very, very clear. Data generation, visualization, store, formulate, analyze, then only you talk about AI. So it's a 6-step approach, right, when it comes to data automation strategy. 6-step, bite-sized kind of building blocks. First step of data generation is always identifying your hardware, right? So you have your hardware, you have your gateways, right? Your IoT gateways, it can be a Siemens, it can be any brand, doesn't matter, okay? Usually doesn't matter, all right? And then you have things like IO-Link technology, very, very interesting technology. Right now, you don't even need to do a lot of configuration and filtering for analog signals. It does everything for you. It's kind of like a snap technology, right? And one key important part is connect, collect, and visualize. So once you have data, what's the next thing that you need to do? Data generation, visualization. Build your dashboards. Build your systems fast, right? Not just collect data and then after that put into Excel, Excel go and translate into pie charts put into your PowerPoint slide. No. It's really about building dashboards fast, right? And this is actually very, very capable for a lot of SMEs to actually adopt, right? Where companies that run through a proper structured training program, they can actually implement this kind of systems on their own, right? It's very straightforward as you can identify your hardware, right? Connect it using drag and drop tools. That's how you rapidly prototype. Okay, that means you have drag and drop software that helps you to connect things faster, and then visualize straight away, right? And this kind of implementation, right, like a vibration sensor kind of implementation, we have coached a company, a furniture company to do it, and they were capable of doing it on their own. Very, very interesting, right? It was part of this engineering placement program by the Malaysian Timber Council, right? And after the program, they were able to implement vibration monitoring for their manufacturing efficiency, right? And the project, surprisingly, I can tell you, I was also surprised myself. The project was completed in 1 week. Connect, collect, and visualize, right? And then once you get your data, okay, then you must be thinking, okay, how do I now do AI? How do I now do machine learning? How do I now do deep learning? And I'm not an expert in Python programming. It's okay, right? Once you collect your data, once you have sufficient amount of data, Then you can use tools like Nine to actually drag and drop, pull your data from your databases or anywhere at all, and run your machine learning, run your deep learning. It's very, very straightforward, right? Low-code tools are there to help you to speed up your process, right? And the beauty of it is because it is open technologies, you are always able to scale faster, right? And then computer vision, very, very interesting applications. So we see a lot of manufacturing companies, they like to look at vision inspection systems, they like to look at how computer vision is being done. We've seen so many platforms out there, but SMEs, I understand very much that cost is always a factor, right? So computer vision systems like this is already readily available. You can go outside to our booth and you can actually see it live. It's actually built by our team and we make it open source for everyone. So that's how we want to help to develop a sustainable talent ecosystem to implement technologies for you, for the companies, for the industries. Because by having the right talents in your companies, you're actually able to see value in terms of implementation, right? It's not just about putting a gateway, putting a dashboard and say, hey, this works for me, or this doesn't work for me, and then probably a month later, then you probably say, hey, how come my OE is still 40%? Now, once you collect enough data from your factory, some of you practice lean manufacturing where you do elemental cycle time, your production cycle time. Next thing you want to do is you want to simulate where your bottlenecks are in your manufacturing. Okay? So this is a platform where you can see how manufacturing is simulated in a 2D simulation. So this is a software called JumpSim. Right? You can see where these blocks are. Those simulates your work in progress. That means you have a lot of work in progress happening and you need to cut or you need to actually diverge it out so that you are actually needing more operators, more resources, or more stations. This is how you can visualize your production, right? So from not just manufacturing, this can be used for supply chain. For example, you want to see how many resources you need to manage a store, a retail store. How many resources you need to actually manage a facility. Now, this is a 2D simulation that you can use to actually look into that. Now, what about 3D simulation? Now, that's where the value of digital factory comes in, right? A lot of companies, they have a department called industrial engineering, IE, right? And what they do is basically they plan the shop floor layout, they plan all the layout, production, and all that. Now, what if I tell you you can utilize digital factory tools today, like this over here, converting your physical factory to a digital factory and simulate your actual production running on a day-to-day basis, right? And you can actually see where is the bottleneck. Do I need 5 operators? Do I need 2 operators? Or is it I need more? Do I need 2 AGV, 3 AGV, 4 AGV? Or do I need lesser than that? Right? Because everything is cost, right? Therefore, let's say, for example, in this example of simulation where you want to convert your manual line to an automated line. Just now we always talk about automation, okay? Whenever I show this example, I always ask companies to guess. If I change from manual to fully automated, okay, what is the yield that I can get? What is the output? Many of them put up their hand, double. Okay? Then I show them this. And then, they go, okay? It's not that straightforward that you put one robot, it's double. Okay? So you need to understand where your bottlenecks are, understand your process, and that will give you a better visualization on what you need to adjust. Right? So from that 3 areas of operational technology, information system technology, and the digital factory, when we start to talk to many companies, yes, they understand that these are the 3 key portions, but they also want to understand what is a potential strategic roadmap that you can take as a company as a whole to move forward in terms of your digital transformation plan. So from 3 areas of OT, IT, and DF, we break it down into level 1 to level 5. So your first level is data automation and visualization. So you need to automate your data collection. Automate not by automating an operator to keep sending WhatsApp messages. That's not data automation. Okay? Your machine gives you information automatically. Okay? And you can visualize them. Now, the second part, level 2, this one is very, very interesting. Converting all paper to paperless. Paper to paperless has to happen. Why? If you don't convert that, you have no data. Even if it's as simple as a leave application form. Okay? Digital workflow is what you need to start looking at, right? Converting your digital workflow so that everyone can see the production running, right? And of course, looking at your process intelligence. How do you optimize your process intelligence using simulation tools that I showed you just now? Then with a lot of data, you look into analytics and intelligence. Then you look at digital integration, the entire factory integration, right? And then only you talk about digital factory intelligence, right? So in each level that we map out here is to help you to actually learn to kickstart your smart factory, right? It's not that you need to do level 1 to 5 in 1 year. Maybe can, I've never seen before, but maybe if you are super committed, you can do it, okay? But of course, it takes time. You need to have a very, very big team. So how do you then modularize it? Make it a bit more palatable, right? So we talk about innovate, accelerate, transform. Okay, what does it mean? Innovate means that you want to start small. You don't know if it will work or not. Start small, finish a small project. Not necessarily you need to do a big one. Okay? Identify the key bottlenecks, troubleshoot them, finish it. Once you are more ready, you're confident about the value of it, accelerate. Or what the auto parts industries that practice lean manufacturing always like to say, yokoten. Right? Duplicate good processes. Right? Replicate it. That's how you accelerate transformation. Right? And then once you build your digital leaders or your digital ambassadors in your company, then you start to transform. Right? And all this can be done by learning. Right? You can actually learn to implement it. It's not magic. Digital transformation is not magical. Okay? There's science behind it. Okay? So how do you develop a sustainable roadmap? Right? Now, a lot of times we always think that, okay, if we want to implement something, we probably don't have the right skills, don't have the right people. Right? So what you need to do is you need to first identify your team. Right? Identify your team, identify the right programs to get your team started. Okay? Identify a Kickstarter project. It can be as small as monitoring a cold room. It can be as small as tracking point A to point B. We have done that also. And then you start to plan to execute your project. Right? When you start to implement technologies on your own, you actually can see the value of implementation. Right? And this is how we talk about talent attraction and retention strategies. Right? If you don't give them something to motivate them to do it, eventually they are not problem solvers. They are just users. Right? But what you want in your factory is you want to have problem solvers. You want people with a mindset of continuous improvement. And that's how you implement a proper strategy like this. Right? And what we have been working on with many companies in Malaysia is that we have looked at how to build factory technologies in the factory. Right? So you are the factory technologists. Okay? And eventually you will be your process expert. You will be your process owner. Right? You have ownership over the technology. What's the next step you need to do from there? You need to build your next new team. Right? Your new team, future technologies. Right? And then only you start to think about what we call as technology apprentice. Right? To help them to continue this talent and retention strategy for a sustainable talent ecosystem. Because if we always say that, talents are moving out of Malaysia, we need to think about how to retain them. We have very, very good people, right? And I believe your company also have very, very good people. So how you want to build that kind of roadmap is really to look at that kind of ecosystem of technology, right? Equip them with the right knowledge and know-how, and eventually they will use the tools effectively to build you a masterpiece, right? You can give a person a hammer, but you don't teach them how to use it, they can't use it much, right? So now companies, we always like to see companies share good stories, right? Like what the previous speaker, Keith, has shared his story. After this, we have another success story from another company. We want to encourage more, right? Because technology adoption, of course, is sometimes uncertain. When you're uncertain about something, there's always a worry, right? So I can't go to a company and say, don't worry, you'll be fine, right? I can, but of course, they would like to hear it from other peers in their industry. So I would like to say that the method of building your team, right, implementing that framework that I shared with you, the proposed technology platforms, it is doable, okay? And it is already implemented in some companies in Malaysia. I would say some, okay? All right? Some companies have different platforms, it's fine, but some companies in Malaysia have started. And that's what we want to see, start, right? And eventually they can then decide how to scale it up from there, right? So QR codes, YouTube, can go and watch for your bedtime story tonight, okay? Now, how do we also develop a very, very sustainable talent ecosystem in Malaysia, right? Because we are all about building people capabilities, right? So what my team at the Malaysian Smart Factory does is that we decided that, okay, we want to help companies to grow in Malaysia, at the very least in Malaysia, right? We want to help them to accelerate transformation. So therefore, the tools that we build in the Smart Factory, the tools that we test, build, we are opening it up to our GitHub, right? So that the community can contribute, you can implement. And that's the real goal of creating a sustainable talent ecosystem in Malaysia, right? Have the right buy-in from your management, okay? Get them involved, build your team, build your ambassadors, and continuously improve to scale up, right? Think about it as a Kaizen approach for manufacturing, all right, for continuous improvement. And it takes small steps, but effective steps, all right? Combine your lean methodologies and Industry 4. Eventually, you will see value in that, up to a 40% cost reduction, hopefully, right? And we hope to see more and more companies implement intelligent manufacturing in Malaysia.